Are you a fellow tarantula keeper that likes to keep his tarantulas on neatly organized shelf like the one behind me? Would you like to have pretty enclosures but that are practical and at the same time so you can basically open them with one finger? Are you a crafty person or person that likes to challenge himself to do new stuff and learn new skills? Well then, these dark damp plastic parts are just for you. That was my attempt at the sales pitch, and as you can tell, I am not a really good salesman, but I believe in everything that I said. I believe in this product that I've been developing for the past, I don't even know, 3, 4, maybe even 5 years. If you count my very first enclosures that I built that were a completely different design, I learned from those designs, I learned what I like, I learned what I don't like, and slowly but surely I came up with this design, and now basically all of my enclosures are made with that design. As I was developing it, I was 3D printing these parts, and that enabled me to easily tweak and change stuff that needs to be changed to make sure that everything works. And then finally, when I was convinced that the design is good, that the design works, I went to a shop that makes molds for plastic parts, for plastic injected parts, gave them the design, told them what I need, and now, a couple of months later, I had parts ready for me to use, for you to buy, for me to build enclosures and sell enclosures. I was so happy, and that was like a year ago. I already made a video showing you how to assemble the enclosures, but now this is the updated version because, of course, I found better solutions for some problems, mainly the glue, that is the main thing, but also I have some tips for you how to get cheaper glass and what are the things that you need to look out when buying the glass. I have 2 sets available. This one is 20 centimeters long and this one is 30 centimeters long, and you can see that 30 centimeter set is basically 2 20 centimeter sets that is pre-cut to exact measurement, so it totals 30 centimeters length. And if you're wondering why I don't have a separate 30 centimeters long parts, why I didn't order just another mold for those bigger parts, you have no idea how expensive those molds are. By my rough calculations, I need to sell around 1,000 pre-built enclosures in order to cover the cost of just buying those molds. They are extremely expensive, so that is the reason why I'm just using these parts to make bigger, longer ones. So yeah, that is a quick introduction, and now I can start talking about the whole process and what you need to do, what you need to know. With these 2 sets, basically the only limitation is enclosure length. You are limited to 20 centimeters length or 30 centimeters length. The all other dimensions, everything else is changeable. Let me just give you the example so you can easily visualize it. You see the enclosure length is fixed. This one is 20 centimeters or it can be 30 centimeters. But this dimension, the enclosure width, it can be 20 centimeters, it can be 10 centimeters, it can be 50 centimeters. Also height, it can be 20 centimeters. It can be lower than this if you want, or it can be taller than this if you want. Same goes with the ratio of door and this bottom front part. If you want less substrate, you can go lower, or if you want more substrate, you can go higher. It is completely customizable, so therefore if you have some specific shelf that you want to fill with enclosures, with this system you can do just that easily. But of course each enclosure comes with a blueprint that covers most common enclosures dimensions, and this list tells you exactly which panels do you need to get. So in order to make a different enclosure, you only need different glass panels. The parts are the same. This is what you get: bottom ventilation panel, door parts, top ventilation panel, and sides for sliding thing. It will be super easy to understand as I'm building the enclosure, you will see. And also you get a bag with legs and safety pin. Same thing for the 30 centimeters long enclosure. You get more parts, but they are basically the same parts, just longer and made out of 2 separate parts. Sides are the same, and also safety pin, legs, and blueprint. In the blueprint you will find the panel dimensions that you need for these enclosures and these for 30 centimeters long enclosures. These are panels needed for the assembly: front, bottom, door panel, top that slides out, top that doesn't slide, left side, right side, and back side. Since we will assemble 20 by 20 by 20 cube, all 3 sides are the same, and last panel needed is the bottom panel, which is slightly smaller than left, right, and the back. Of course, to assemble this set you need to source the glass locally. Only plastic parts are available on the web shop. I would gladly sell you the glass, but glass is really heavy and really fragile, so shipping the glass would be kind of problematic. But I have a few tips to get glass locally. I mean, how to get a better price, how to find a cheaper glass. Firstly, you need to search for a small shop, like a local shop that sells custom picture frames, custom mirrors, or custom glass parts for your house, something like that. The smaller the shop, the better the deal you will get on the glass. Because all of those shops got a ton of parts like these that are basically leftovers from some bigger panels, so therefore search for those. And my second tip to get better prices on the glass: the edges don't need a lot of polishing. When you order a custom glass, usually polishing the edges costs more than the glass itself, so therefore you need to let them know that you don't need that. The edges just need to be lightly sanded so they are not sharp, and that's basically it. And if they tell you that they cannot do that, just tell them to do nothing with the edges and be super careful and just sand them by yourself. Just take a small sanding paper and go along every edge like that and every edge, and you will be fine. Third thing, for all of you that use imperial system, imperial measurements, the blueprint is of course in metric system, so you need to hope that your local shop can accept that. If not, you will need to do a custom conversions from metrics to imperial. And also the panels that you need, majority is 4mm thick, and from what I heard, that is not so easy to come by in US, but apparently this thickness will do. I will write it on the screen. It is written in the blueprint. It won't be as snug fit as 4mm glass, but with good glue that we will talk a bit later, you won't have any issues. Those are for all the sides and bottom panels, but top panels are a bit different. The top panel that slides out is 2mm thick, but the channel on the plastic parts is 3mm thick. So if you cannot get a 2mm thick glass, you can get a 3mm thick glass, and it will also fit. This is 3mm glass. That one also fits fine, and this is also written in the blueprint. And the back top part that doesn't slide, this one, that one needs to be 3mm thick. But in US you will need to figure out which is the most suitable glass thickness that you can get. I also had a lot of questions asking about plexiglass. Will plexiglass work with this system? And the answer is yes, it will work for sure. You just need the proper glue that will glue these plastic parts with the plexiglass. The only potential issue that you could have is the door locking mechanism, because it relies on glass weight, and since plexiglass is really light material, I'm not sure if it will be heavy enough to lock securely, but I know for the fact that some people use plexiglass and have no problems with that. Now that we are done with the glass, we need to deal with the glue, and first thing that you actually need is a silicone, and you use it to glue to connect all the glass panels. You can easily get this locally, and the only important thing that you need to look for is that it is aquarium safe silicone. That's the only thing that is important. If for some reason you are not able to get the silicone locally, I have low quantities available on the web shop, so you can order that together with the parts. A second thing that is really important to have, it is glue for plastic parts to connect them with the glass. This is basically the main reason why I'm redoing this video. In first video, I told you that you can use super glue and also some other glue in combination with the super glue, but it turned out that is not reliable at all, because with time that type of connection will fail and the pieces will start falling off. You can easily re-glue them with more super glue, but you're just postponing the inevitable. And finding a proper glue that can glue these parts was my biggest struggle, but thankfully I found basically the only glue that works, and it is this Quilosa M35. Out of all glues that I tested and tried, this is the only one that got like long-term strength. None of plastic parts that I glued with this glue has fallen off, so I strongly recommend to get this glue. If you cannot source it locally, which probably you won't be, I will always have a steady supply on the web shop, so if you're ordering the parts, definitely order the glue. It is not expensive, it is only 10 euros, like $10, so trust me, it is worth it. And in order to use the silicone or that glue for plastic parts, of course you need a silicone gun. It is this thing. It is a standard thing that you can buy in any hardware store or any store with tools and stuff. Because of that fact, I don't have it available on the web shop, and you can use it for this glue for plastic parts also. It is the same bottle, you see. They are both in same type bottle. In case you ordered a 30 centimeters long set, you will also need a super glue, because you need to use it to glue this top ventilation part. Other parts don't need to be glued, but this top ventilation needs to be glued right here. You will see later why. And to have an easier time building the enclosure, you need like a rubber mallet or something to hammer down plastic parts on the glass panels. But even without a rubber mallet, you can just use some rag and something heavy. You can even hammer it down with this bottle. And also you need a rag so you can clean the edges before applying silicone to it. And yes, grab yourself some painter's tape, it will be useful. By the way, it is a second day, as you can see I changed the shirt. Now let's finally assemble the enclosure. First, put some painter's tape on the table, because that will prevent silicone sticking to the table, of course. Only edges of the enclosure need to be protected, so 20 by 20 by 20 cube, since now we are building an enclosure of that size. First step is assembling the door. So you take the door glass panel, you take some rag to clean off the edge from the dust and debris or whatever can it be on the edge. That way the glue will adhere better. You take the glue for the plastic parts, the black one that you can get on the web shop, and you just simply apply it along the edge like this. Then you take this plastic part, this is the bottom part of the door, you put it on the edge, take your trusty little hammer and tap it in place, nothing special. Now turn it on the other side, repeat the process, clean the edge, apply the glue on the edge and take the other part of the door. This one, this is the top part. Simply attach it on the edge of the glass. Just make sure that these two pins are on the same side. Now you can just hammer it like this, although that probably won't be enough. So the easiest way of dealing with that is take some block, put it under it, and then hammer it like that. Make sure that glass here is all the way to the edge on both sides. And if it is not, you can just turn it like this and hammer it slightly to be sure that it is nice and tight. Depending on how much glue you used, something like this can happen. The glue can come squeezing on the sides, but you just let it cure, and after the next day you can just peel it off or use some sort of knife to take it off. It is not a problem to do it later, but now if you try to remove it, you will just make a lot of mess, so just leave it like this. Put the assembled door aside and take back panel and left panel. Now use some heavy object on the back to lean the back panel on it. For now, the glass doesn't need to stand at the perfect 90 degrees angle, just lean it so it is approximately 90 degrees, as close as you can. Take the right panel, clean all the edges and apply silicone to the back side. You see this back side that we will now connect to the back panel. And that will go like this. First glue it with the bottom side and then just push it on the top. And voila, it is holding on its own, nothing special is needed, everything is at 90 degrees because you just need to follow the edge. If you align these two corners first and just push it up until you align it with these two corners, then everything is alright. This angle is not perfect 90 degrees, but we will fix that in next step with the bottom panel, which is actually the trickiest part of this build. Because now we need to silicone three sides of this panel, and normally I use this to simply hold it like this and apply the silicone on all the sides, but you can do it without it and I will show you that it can be easily done. Clean all four edges now, but you will apply silicone only on three edges. The back edge, left edge and right edge. We don't apply silicone to the front edge. Front side will be silicone with the front panel. Now, in case you are not sure which one is front side and which ones are sides, front side is always 4 millimeters shorter than left and right side. So in this case, left and right sides are 200 millimeters as 20 centimeters, and front side is, I believe, 196 millimeters. So if you are not sure, that's how you check. Now I have a big blob of silicone that I need to remove first. Procedure goes like this. This is front side, so you hold it here and you silicone these three sides. Left, right and back. You start from the left, get a little bit of silicone out, so you have a bit more at the edge. Put it like this and just go all the way to the end. You finish like this. Now again you get a little blob like this, so you can put that on the edge and then go like, and one last time a little blob and go like, and I'm sorry, that was a notification on my cell phone. And also you want to cover this edge with a little blob of silicone. The reason why we want a bit of blobs on each edge is if you are careful like this, then your enclosure will be leak proof from the start and you won't need to apply more silicone later on the inside. Now comes the tricky part. Oh, I didn't even mention, when you are holding the glass like this, imagine your fingers being the bottom side. So we will place the panel like this. You want to make sure that you are silicone the top edge of the glass. You don't silicone the bottom edge or the middle, but top edge, because you will need to slide the glass on the painter's tape now a bit, and if you have silicone on the bottom, it will get really messy. You drop it and push it in the corner, just like that. Now you squeeze the sides, and if the glass, the cut glass, is perfect 90 degrees angle, now this angle will also be 90 degrees because we aligned everything to each other, in coloration to each other. So yeah. Now the right side, again, clean the edges, apply the silicone to the back only, push it nicely in this corner first, and then align with the top. I actually managed to mess it up a bit because I was checking if everything is visible in the camera. You see, I accidentally smeared the silicone here on top, but of course that is not a problem. Once again, you can let it cure and later come with a knife and peel it off. It is not a problem, but in this case this is a back panel that will be covered with the background, so you don't really need to do that. And be aware that your first couple of enclosures will probably super messy. I have a lot of practice with using the silicone gun and silicone in general and how everything behaves, and even I can make a mistake like this, so don't sweat if you get silicone everywhere. Now comes the bottom front panel, and this one is a bit different because you won't be applying silicone on the actual edge but on the inside of the glass. I will show you now. Clean the top edge, but clean the inside of the glass of bottom left and right, because this is the spot where we will apply the silicone. I've been handling this glass a lot for this video, so there is a lot of stains and oily fingerprints on it, so yeah, it is good to remove that. The best thing is the alcohol, but I never really used it and I never had any problems. Another big blob that I need to remove. I should just bring this here. I'll always have a piece of paper towel nearby so you can clean the silicone, the excess silicone. Now look how this will go. You go to the edge, the inside edge, and just beam. Now the bottom side, one straight line. And which side? Right side. That is right side. Applied just like this. And now put it at its spot, which is here on front. Just make sure that you align the sides, left and right, and gently press. I am always more generous with the silicone here, so it comes out, you see, when you squeeze it. But same thing, just cut it once it dries. It's simple. And I actually forgot one step. We need to use this top ventilation part to make sure that the sides are now at the right distance from each other. So you just squeeze that on top, and it will probably need to push or pull glass a little bit. If the glass needs to be pulled apart a bit, make sure that this left side is more straight than the right side. Right side can be a bit leaned, but this left side needs to be almost perfectly straight. Now comes the fun part, and that is gluing the plastic parts to the glass. So we see a nice bit of glue on top edge, and of course 2 beads on the left and right side. Just like that. Now it is hammer time. Take the front ventilation and just align it to this left side and hammer it down. Nice and easy. There we go. You take the door. You see this pin. You see this hole. Put that pin in the hole. Simple like this. Then you take this part that also got a hole. Simply align that hole with a pin. And you guessed it, hammer it down. Same goes for the right side. Align everything and hammer it down. If you did everything right, the door should work simply and easily. The only thing that you need to look out is make sure that the front side of the glass is aligned with the front side of the plastic, that there is no like a gap or something, that the plastic is not sticking out or the edge of the glass is sticking out. Everything needs to be flat and nice. Same goes for the left side. This needs to be aligned. That is the only thing that you need to look out for. Now 2 last steps that you need to do. First, you move this to the back, and then we connect this 3mm stick glass to the top. But make sure that you do not apply too much silicone, because we need to glue this top ventilation part with a proper glue. You don't want to apply too much silicone, so then you have silicone on this edge where the glue needs to come. I always put less silicone here. You see, I didn't even come to the very edge, just to make sure that the edge is clean for the glue. Now you can glue this immediately, but it is much more simpler if you let the enclosure cure for like a few hours. So let's do a time jump, and now it should be safe to maneuver the enclosure, but if you're not sure, try touching the blobs of silicone that got squeezed out to make sure that they are dry. If they are, you can carefully and safely lift the enclosure and turn it to the other side in order for you to glue the top ventilation. For that, you want to apply the glue on all the exposed edges, including this inside one from the top panel. So let's start from that. A nice bead like this. One short here, oops. Another one here. And another along the entire back side, just like that. Now just put the top ventilation at its spot. Again, don't worry if it is messy like this, you can easily clean this once it is completely dry. Yeah, that's it. We only need to add legs and also the top sliding panel, but I'm going to do that after the entire enclosure is fully dry. Now let's build the 30 centimeters wide enclosure, and unfortunately I cannot build the terrestrial version because I no longer have glass panels for that, but I have ones for the arboreal version that is a bit narrower, you will see. But the process is completely the same as any other build. First I need to change this a bit. Since this is a wider enclosure, we of course need to increase this protection for the table. Now same thing, first we need to assemble the door. Again, process here is completely the same, except that you have two parts instead of one for each side. First you put this shorter one with a pin. You can just push it with your hands, and then the other one, this one that got a handle and also a place for a safety pin. You put that also just by hands. The safety pin goes on the opposite side of the hinge pin, you see. You can just slightly bump it just to be sure it is all the way down. Flip it over, apply the glue, and don't do this. I'm kinda rushing for no real reason. Now we use the other door parts. Again, first shorter one with the pin, and now the other one. Again, it will be easier if you have some object like this where you can put it down. The thing is, you cannot put it directly on the table because if you hammer it down, you will probably break the pin down here. So that's why you need some elevation. And this time you need to put it like this, and then first bang the parts to be sure that the gap here is closed, and also on the other side. And then you can also bang the glass a bit to be sure that it is all the way down to the edge. Put the door aside and we can continue the build. Now we actually need to use the super glue in order to connect these two top ventilation parts. Nothing special, just apply the super glue on one edge and squeeze them together. It is the best if you can get the super glue that glues in like 50-60 seconds, you know? Then you don't need to hold them for long, but generally you can put it aside after like 30-ish seconds, depending on the glue, of course. We will need that a bit later. Now we actually need a back panel and left panel, just like I already showed you. So let me grab that. Again, lean the panel on something that can hold its weight. Take a side panel, clean its edges, and apply silicone to only the back side of the panel. Then align these bottom corners and just push the top corners. Again, aligning them right here. Now take the bottom part, clean all the edges, and apply silicone to left, right, and back edge. And in this case, since we are doing the longer but narrower enclosure, of course left and right side are shorter than back and front, unlike the cube enclosure that we previously built. It all depends on the type of the enclosure, so we need to be mindful of that. And do you remember procedure? Apply a blob on the corner, then a steady bead of silicone like this. Top edge, not the bottom edge, top edge, because we need to slide it down. Another blob on the corner and a steady bead of silicone all the way to the end. A blob and a bead, and we also need a bit of blob at the edge. Perfect. Place it down and just slide in the corner. Again, squaring everything off, getting a nice 90 degrees angle everywhere. Now right side panel, clean it, apply the silicone, push it in the corner, but this time I will be mindful of the top side. Yes, just like that. And now this part that we glued comes into play. Put it on top so it makes sure that the sides are on the right distance from each other. I already applied the silicone on the edges of the front panel, so that can just go right here. Make sure that there is no edge on either of the sides, so it is nice and centrally squared. Now it is time to apply the glue. Here, here, and here. Hammer down the parts, first left side with the hole, bim bam boom, and then the other side without the hole. Bim, bam, boom. Often 3 hits are enough. Now we take a assembled door and just put the pin in the hole. Take the bottom one and secure it at its spot. Bim, bam, boom. And check if the door work like they are supposed to, and that's the case here. So we can put the other side then. Bim, bam, boom. Put down silicone for the top panel that doesn't slide. put the panel on top and do a time jump, and voila, the enclosures are basically finished. Only 2 steps remain. Those are the top sliding panels. This is for the smaller one. It just goes into this slot and slides like that, you see? And then you close it, and it cannot go anywhere, but if you open it, you can easily remove it to have access to the enclosure. Neat and practical. Same goes for the bigger enclosure, just the top lid is bigger, I mean longer. Which actually brings us to the last part, and those are legs and safety pins. Safety pin is an optional thing that you don't really need, but if you really want to, you put it in this slot, and then it is impossible to open the door. Same goes for bigger one. You see, impossible to open, but I never had a situation where a tarantula managed to open the door because of the weight of the glass prevents it from being open, and the only way to open the door is to lift it up, and tarantulas are not that strong, or maybe just not that intelligent to figure that out. I don't know. So last thing are those feet that you just stick to the bottom of the enclosure. It got a double-sided tape that you peel off, and then you just stick it on like that, but not on the camera lens. Ooh. Well, that is an oopsie. The glue is really sticky. Okay, I will need to clean it later. I will leave it for now. We just flip it. Oh, there's an ugly stain on the... Cannot believe how... I'm just making it worse, right? I need a proper tool, but you just stick it under the enclosure. So when you got all 4, the enclosure will nicely slide on the surface, you see? Same process for the bigger one. Stick, 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 stick. And just like that, you can have your very own custom enclosure. So I highly recommend to try that out, not just because I'm selling the stuff, but because I really believe that building something by yourself really fulfills you from the inside and makes you proud of the stuff that you do. So yeah, good luck with the build. Anyhow, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, thumbs it up and comment something. If you want to support this channel even more, there's the Patreon page and the webshop page. If you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe. I upload on Monday and sometimes a live stream on Sunday. We should do that, right? See you again soon. Bye.